It's Friday night. I want some steak and potatoes. So I'm going to be making some seared New York strip steaks with rosemary butter and some fried potatoes. So I've got a couple USDA choice New York strip steaks here. Good marbling in them. They're not prime, they're choice, but that's okay. I'm going to be salting and peppering these. Then we're going to set them in the refrigerator for about half an hour before we cook them. So I want to get a good coating of salt here. And pepper. Turn them over. These are ready. I'll see you outside at the Weber Kettle in about 30 minutes. All right, I have the Weber Kettle set up with both briquette baskets. They're going to be containing the charcoal so that I can have a cast iron pan over them and still have room for an indirect cook once the steaks are seared. So let's get our pan on there and heat it up. And if you notice a little bit of artificial light, it's because it's starting to get dark. I might be doing a little night grilling here. I'm going to let that pan heat up. Let's see how hot our cast iron pan is by dropping a little bit of butter in it. All right, we're nice and hot. Let's get our steaks in for a good sear. Start adding our butter. It's about half a stick of butter I'm adding right now. And we're going to add some rosemary sprigs. Man, you can smell that rosemary already. Nice butter on here. Check this real quick. Nice sear on that already. All right, we're gonna turn these. Move our rosemary back around. Put some butter on top. It is just like rosemary perfume right now. And these are only going to take a minute, and then we're going to move them indirect and set the pan off. Now we're going to move these indirect. I'll arrange these, and I want to get a temperature probe in right in the middle there. Our internal meat probe is showing, looks like 87. Let's double check that. 89 degrees, perfect. We're gonna pull these at 125. So I'm gonna get the lid on so these can finish cooking indirect. Not gonna take long at all. You can see that the kettle temp is 269 and rising. Internal meat temp 102, got a little over 20 degrees to go on that. I'm not playing with the vents or anything on the kettle. They are wide open top and bottom, because this is not going to take long. I'm not worried about maintaining any temperature, I just want it hot. We want to get that cast iron pan hot that we had it, and we just want a good amount of temperature to carry these steaks through to finish. You can probably see the shadows, we're night grilling, and it is 123, we're just a couple degrees away. All right, we are at 125. Time to pull our steaks, foil them, and move on to our potatoes. Get our temperature probe out of there. All right, I'm gonna get our cast iron pan back on. Get it heated back up. I've removed the rosemary sprigs, but there are still pieces of rosemary in there. Now we're gonna add some more butter. I'll let this melt down. Got all these nice meat pieces in here that came off the crust. Now we're just gonna add our potatoes. I'm gonna hit these with just a little bit of salt out here. A little bit of pepper. Make sure we keep these over the fire. Cook with all this buttery goodness here. I'm just going to turn these over here. If you miss one or two, it's fine, they'll still be cooked. Key here is to get them thin. These are not pre-cooked or anything. They're just thin sliced russet potatoes. Add just a little more salt for this side, and you'll know when these are done when they're soft, just like any other potato. They will have a little bit of crispiness to them, but if you press down, you'll be able to feel. been a while since I've been night grilling on video. Kind of fun. All right, these are done. I'm gonna get these out of the pan, get them inside, so we can have them with our steak. All right, here it is, meat and potatoes. My wife said, do you want something green on there? And then she said, no, it's meat and potatoes. You don't need anything green, any salad, any broccoli, anything like that. This is meat and potatoes. But I want to cut into this piece of steak first. So let's see what we've got. Ooh, nice. Nice, look at that. You see that? Nicely medium rare there. So for steak like this, when you pull it about 125 and foil it for about 10 minutes, it's gonna have that little bit of carryover to get it to that 130-ish medium rare. And that's what this is. And now it's time to taste. All right, do you think I'll go for the beef first or the potatoes? Potatoes. Here we go. Oh man, they almost dissolve. They almost melt in your mouth with all that rosemary infused butter in them. Look at that, so thin. That's the key to this, cutting these thin, sauteing them in that cast iron pan with that butter. They get a little crispiness on the outside. They're almost like a little bit like potato chips on the outside. And then when you get to that little narrow part that's not crispy, it's creamy. Oh. All right. I've got to move on to the beef. I know, poor me. Here we go. Oh, this is cooked perfectly for the way I like it. And the key is that meat thermometer. If you don't have a remote meat thermometer, get one. It makes things like this so easy. You take it to the temperature, you take it off when it's done. That's really good. Oh, super tender. That buttery crust on the outside with the rosemary that you get right there. We didn't add any smoke or anything else. This is just that simple salt and pepper seasoning on the outside and that rosemary butter that helps crisp it right there when it hits the pan. Wow. I'm gonna torture my wife for a while. I'm just gonna stand here and eat pieces while she's watching. I've got like what, 15 or 20 pieces that I can eat before she can have a taste. Oh. And this isn't prime, this is choice. Nothing wrong with choice, but if you cook a choice piece of meat right, you get results which rival prime. It really is in the method. You can take a prime steak and ruin it by cooking it wrong. You can take a choice steak, sometimes even a select steak, and make it really good by cooking it right. So for steak and potatoes, a little bit of rosemary butter in that pan with the steak, then the potatoes. You carry that flavor between the two, and you got a terrific meal. Oh, really good.